Sheldon, little bootleg ass studio.
All right, now moving along. Charlemagne the guy says Tyler's team. They gave him a list of questions to not ask. Okay, let me back it up. So Tyler went on to the Breakfast Club. Tyler, she's a singer, songstress, whatever you want to say, entertainer. She went on to the Breakfast Club, right? And she had an interview. And she was asked the question about being black or being colored or something to that effect. And we finna get up into it. And she didn't answer the question. Somebody immediately from the back, from her team, spoke and said not to ask the question, basically, or something like that. And it was all on film. And they kept it in the interview. And so Charlemagne the God, he's saying that, his team, that Tyler's team gave him a list of questions to not ask. But he said no. He said no and asked them anyway. Say, I am not a DICK sucker for record labels, is what the man says. He says, I have a job to do, and my job is for the people. Oh, now check it out. Check it out. Oh, look, hit that like button.
Sometimes, depending what it is, like if it's something like really personal, really serious, something I know is traumatizing, I'll be like, sure, I'll oblige. For this one, I said no.
Yeah.
And the reason I said no, they had 6 things they didn't want us to ask. You want to know what those 6 things
Yo.
were?
Yeah.
They didn't want us to ask about Kai Sinat. The whole "we friends" though thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, huh?
Okay.
They didn't want us to ask about her not being on tour with Chris.
But then I would have canceled the interview. Because all of this shit is viral moments that has happened that's really keeping her relevant outside of her music. So this is what is going on. She's putting it out here publicly. It happened publicly. So shit, why not? This is what everybody's tuning in for.
Brown anymore. They didn't want us to that. Sometimes, depending what it is, to ask about the colored thing. That sometimes, depending.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
heard of him.
And you want me to not ask about that? Sometimes the colored thing.
Injury.
They didn't want us to ask about her injury that she sustained. What else was it? They didn't want to ask us about who she was dating, which I wouldn't do anyway. And what was the other one? It was one it was just all
okay. Now the dating one, I could understand that one.
frivolous
And
stuff.
why? What are they trying to do? They're trying to protect an image that they're curating for her?
I have no idea. And that's why I said
But the Rihanna thing, comparing.
Oh yeah, and comparison, and it wasn't even Rihanna. It just said comparisons to other pop artists.
Oh,
That's
so they're trying to
crazy.
separate her from Kai Cenat. She's her own individual.
To ask about the
Don't tie her to him.
And you want me to not ask her about Kai Cenat the day after Kevin Hart just was on Kai Cenat show again with
Bringing
a big
it up.
ass sign that said "We friends" though?
Yeah.
Like, come on, yo. So I said to them, no.
Oh.
Now, when I say no, I'm not going to oblige any of this. It is your job then, label, management, whoever, to either prepare the artist for the questions or pull the interview.
Exactly.
I'm fine with either or.
Don't tie her to him. Yeah.
I've already told you I'm not going to follow any of this.
Yes.
So when you see suckers out there, suckers are saying things like, he asked every question they asked him not to ask. It's because I'm not a sucker.
Yeah.
Right? And being that I'm not a sucker for record labels, I have a job to do, and my job is for the people. So imagine, right, if I'm sitting around and I'm having a conversation, if we have these conversations, and then all in the comments, it's like, why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask that? Why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you?
Yeah.
I've already asked that.
Yeah.
I got a job to do to the people.
Yeah.
My job, my integrity with the people will always matter more than my integrity with a goddamn record label.
Yeah. And also the label's using you.
100%. But you have a lot of people that don't do that. You have a lot of radio personalities, a lot of journalists, a lot of people who care more about those relationships with the labels than they do relationships with the actual audience.
And it shows.
And it shows. Yeah. And not only does it shows, you show your card.
Yeah.
When you say that, when you say the label asked him not to do it and he did it anyway. Ask that.
Yeah.
What the fuck, what?
Yeah.
After I told the label, I ain't following that shit.
So
no.
So why are they complaining?
Their job was to prepare their client or pull the interview.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm fine with either or.
You want to be qualified. You want to be validated by doing the Breakfast Club. You're an artist in the culture. You want that experience on the Breakfast Club, but you want to control the interview. Yeah, I don't think you can ask to do both things. You can ask as a favor, and then it's up to you to decide if you want to oblige or not. But if you say that you don't want to do the interview in that way, then you don't have to do it.
And you know how many interviews we've turned down when they be like, yo, you can't ask about this,
So, I'm not interested.
I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Because maybe now's not the time for that artist. If that artist isn't ready to talk about these things, I don't want to have that conversation because it'll make us look crazy because certain things you got to talk about.
Yeah. Now you can also, if you want to oblige
What did
or
his
not,
shirt say?
but
What?
yeah.
Run us our reparations. Why ain't you ask Joe Biden it? Or did you? Did he? He may have did. I don't know. Why you ain't hold them to the fire? Because you didn't. And you let that man ask you tell you ain't black if you don't vote for me. But I just had to read his shirt because that caught my eye. Run us our reparations. Not for real though. But he's totally right. I agree with him 1,000%. But what he said, you don't sit here and dictate the interview. You can ask me to not ask certain questions beforehand. And if I tell you no, then it's up to you to either prepare yourself for these questions or cancel. Simple as that. Because he's right. He has a job to do. People want to know these questions. Just like I said before I played the video, because I ain't know what he was going to say. I ain't watch it. It's ridiculous, man. But so she went on there and they asked her about her not being black, her not claiming black being colored or some shit like that. I don't know. It was some weird ass shit. And she, you know, they didn't want her to answer that question because she doesn't claim being black. I don't understand it. I don't know what it is, but that's just what it is.